All right. Well, what is up, everybody? Keith Jameson, go back get guy 231 across the Davis Street. It's Tuesday night, which means we have another Wednesday 6-game Champions League slate, and it's a messy slate. So strap in. It's going to be interesting. It's like not only a messy slate, right? Because PSG so loaded. It's a Messi, Neymar, Mbappe slate. Who do you pick? Do you pick two? Do you just pick one? Do you pick three? Because there's some pricing mistakes that Draftkings has that makes it very, very easy. Really kind of too easy, depending on how you feel about Liverpool, how you feel about City, to get all three just absolute Galacticos in one lineup. So kind of go over those values, kind of how I see the games. Hope you did okay today. I crashed and burned, was really close. Built around Lukaku, like I said, Reece James, those were my two locks. My big mistake was Quadrado. Just kind of threw me off that he was right wing back. Thought that it was potentially a really good spot for him. And doing that, led you to a bad goalkeeper. Just some roster building mistakes, my own fault. The plays were there. Just execution mistakes. So clean those up, profit tomorrow, and then off and running. So quick reminder, like, subscribe, comment, all really helps the channel. Thank you all so much for all those that did. And then one other reminder, if you are interested in premium content, core plays for every slate, check out the link below. Plans, are daily, monthly, all that good stuff. FSI, awesome community. Obviously, I'm biased because I own it, but I truly think that we have one of the coolest soccer chats out there. Everybody that comes in normally loves it and learns a lot. So that's the big thing. All right, let's get into the games. I don't want to belabor this or go on too long because I do think in a lot of ways, the decisions are straightforward. And the decision that is the straightforward one, okay, is it's not if you're going to play a PSG piece, it's which one and how many. And for me, it all starts with Messi. I always go back to this. Luis Pacheco, I want to say 2 years ago, I heard him say one time and just rang true. Is when I decided to start playing DFS soccer seriously, the rule was if Ronaldo or Messi are on the slate, you just play them. They're two of the greatest players in history. And I think that's spot on. Messi is here. He hasn't had a ton of time to acclimate with PSG, but guess what? It's frickin' Lionel Messi. I'm not fading him. It's not fun to fade him. You want to root for greatness. So yeah, Lionel Messi to me, first guy in, share set pieces, share of just being the greatest ever. I don't need to say anything more. Now, I think where you decide from there is, I think I'm going to be playing Neymar. Neymar's floors is terrific. And additionally, Neymar knows Messi. They're really good friends. They played together at Barcelona. He understands the movements. I think Kylian Mbappe is the guy that has a little bit more to learn, right? Just how to play off of Messi, because Messi is just so difficult to do that because he's going to cut in, he's going to cut out, and he's going to drop deep. He's not going to drop at all. He's not going to press. All these different things. We know a Pochettino system relies on those front guys pressing. So in a lot of ways, I wonder if that Mbappe is pushed more wide and Messi kind of plays almost like a false nine type of thing, just so he doesn't have to do so much pressing. I don't know. I'll be curious to watch it, but I think the decision on the slate is not if you're playing Lionel Messi or Neymar. I think that both of those guys would be 70-80% owned in cash or higher 6 games. I think it's do you go threefold and you go Mbappe. The cool part about doing Lionel Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar is if a goal notification happens, you feel like you should have it. And then it was the last weekend, I don't remember exactly who played, but I think it was Idrissa Gueye and Ander Herrera each had 2 goals, right? So, hopefully we're not in for that type of slate. God, that would be so tilting. But I think that's the decision. So Mbappe, Neymar locks, Messi, Neymar locks, decided Mbappe. Mbappe is the most goal dependent of the bunch, especially given that, the other two are going to have some set pieces most likely. And Mbappe is just going to kind of play third fiddle. Hakimi, if you want to go full PSG stack, he's the only other play I would consider. Obviously, super talented right back. We had some interleague slate where he's a 9,800 midfielder. And he got there and it tilted me to no end, but he's a great player. Nobody on Club Brugge that we want to target. Maybe Simon Mignolet. He should be really busy. If it's 0-0 at halftime, Mignolet probably has 10 DK already from saves. But here's the thing with Bruges, they're a great team. Was it? It's not the Super League. Dear God, I'm already blanking on it. The Jupiter League, but this is a whole nother level. I'm actually shocked that it's minus 455. I thought it'd be higher. And we even, I'm surprised we don't have some juice on the over 3.5 yet. We might see that by team total for PSG is over 3. So it's crazy. All right, let's get to City versus Leipzig. I think that this is going to be really where decision is going to be made, because if you don't play Mbappe and you see Kevin De Bruyne in, are you passing on Kevin De Bruyne as minus 300 favorite? The question becomes, is he fit for 90? Right? I don't know that answer. Probably not. And if, City gets up 2 to 3 to nothing, do they keep risking him out there? Probably not. The hard part about City, as we always know, is, who is it going to be, right? Kevin De Bruyne, one of the best midfielders on the planet, should have a monopoly of set pieces here. Sometimes Riyad Mahrez will take 2. So, that sucks. But, De Bruyne takes majority, takes the directs. Like he will not be on PKs, that should go to Riyad Mahrez based on in the last season. If you don't see Mahrez, that's I think where the decision really comes in. But with Mahrez in, I'm kind of leaning Mbappe over De Bruyne, or go to Liverpool. Go to like an Alexander-Arnold, who, from a DFS perspective, floor-wise, especially given the matchup, I do wonder if it's sneaky close to Kevin De Bruyne. So I think my gut feeling on City is just to fade in cash and do some stacks in GPP in case they just get all over Red Bull Leipzig. I think it's interesting just to note with Red Bull, Jesse Marsch has them playing much more of a counterattacking style than they did last season. So they will drop. They're not going to be as scared to drop deep, versus last year they would be just full out, like trying to possess the ball. And sometimes you get in these buzzsaws and they get caught out. But Red Bull's still a very talented team. Just, I'm not going to really target any of them versus City. Your cash plays in City, De Bruyne, Mahrez. That's the only where I would go. Torres, Sterling, Ilkay, all that to me is GPP. Trying to think if there's anything else for me to say here. Again, closer to a 3 total. From Red Bull, I love Soulsupply. He's just an awesome player. Should be splitting sets with Nkunku. They have some talent, but I think, there's not going to be a lot of floor there versus City. If you're going to target anybody, just shoot for the goals. All right, Liverpool versus Milan. I think Liverpool is really interesting. I think Liverpool, I'm obviously biased as a Liverpool fan, but I think that they could be like the GPP stack that nobody does, because everybody's focused on PSG, and Liverpool goes and wins like 4-0. And everybody goes, oh, I could see that. But just especially where Salah and Mane are priced. Salah's 9,500. Mbappe is 10.2. Like, people are going to click Mbappe. Mane is 8,200, which I think is a really solid, sneaky price. He was really bad versus Leeds, got the goal late. That should help his confidence. But I mean, I say he was bad. He was bad in real life in terms of finishing, but he was at like 16 or 17 DK points from all the shots and things. So, I think a stack of like Mane, Jota, and Salah, like, nobody's doing that. So that's a really interesting GPP look. For cash, Trent Alexander-Arnold, if you don't go Mbappe and you don't go De Bruyne, I think it's because you're going to pay the 8K for Trent Alexander-Arnold. Obviously, one of the most elite floors in DFS soccer. Takes a majority of Liverpool's sets. Like, he takes a lot of the free kicks, takes most of the corners. Robertson will take these end swingers, but a lot of times anything out here, free kick wise, all the corners here, and then the direct free kicks, those are all Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's also much more of a crosser in open play. So Trent Alexander-Arnold to me is an elite play, but I kind of like the savings to Robertson too, if I end up having the ability. Like, getting 2,300, it reminds me eerily similar of the Quadrado today at 8,700 versus going like the Chelsea guys, or hell, maybe it should have been, the Atalanta guys, right? Gosling scored a goal. Zappacosta was really good. There's a couple other places to go in defender. So just spending that much for Quadrado, like, what's the gap, right? How much is the gap from Trent Alexander-Arnold to Robertson? If it's 5 to 60K, could you use that $2,300 and use it somewhere else probably better? Very well could. So I think also Alisson is weirdly like my preferred spend up. I don't ever really like away keepers nearly as much. So I think like, going to Club Brugge, could they nick one off of PSG? Very well could. And Navas might not see a ton of activity versus we're seeing a pretty beat up Milan. Like Zlatan should play. He was back, but I don't think he'll start. They don't have Tonali, who's been awesome for them. Frank Kessie back is big. They don't have Kalinoglu. I guess this is gonna be like famous, horrible last words, the way that my streak of like cursing stuff is on. But I don't see this Milan team as like one to be that scared of. They have some nice little players like Brahim Diaz, former City guys, good players. Sailmakers, good player. Ante Rebic, I don't know. Jury's out for me on him. I like Rafael Leao more. I'd be more scared if Leao was out there than Rebic. So that means Rebic is going to score a hattie. But I don't know. I just don't see Milan's team and go, oh, I'm really worried about them coming to Anfield. I think it's more a spot that Liverpool could just jump all over them. And then, I could see them struggling on the other end. Allison could get a couple of freebie saves and, have like 16 DK and, 5,400. And you're like, okay, there was the keeper to have. So, yep, that's my Liverpool take. Oh, also Frank Kessie is 6,000. Like if he was like 3,200, I'd bring him up as like a cheap PK taker, but 6,000, come on, get out of here. That's crazy. All right, Atletico Madrid versus Porto. I'll just start out by saying Porto has just kind of been weird this season. Sergio Oliveira is great player, was always a monopoly. He was like the sneaky, beyond important player last year in the Champions League that if you kept on fading him because you thought Porto was like too big of a dog, he kept on destroying you. He hasn't been playing that much in domestic league. If he's on, he should take a monopoly of the set pieces. But if he's not, you see guys like Otavio, Jesus Corona, those guys take. But I just think, I don't know. I just don't really like Porto. We're going to get into Sporting here in a minute. I think they're the much more attractive like team of like not household names because of the prices. But Corona, Oliveira, Otavio, I think they're all in play. Diaz or Termi, GPP only, sure, but they're going against the best goalkeeper in the world in Jan Oblak. And we know Simeone knows how to manage these type of games. He's going to try to squeeze the life out of Porto. So not really a big fan of them. Let's go to Atletico. I think this is another team that nobody will be on. I think Antoine Griezmann, if he gets the starts, is really interesting. You got to go back to former time, but Antoine Griezmann took sets, was an unbelievable player for Atletico de Madrid. Now, he's playing with Luis Suarez this time. That's a little different. But, I think Griezmann's really interesting at sub 8, coming off a big game in France. Home crowd, return to Atletico Madrid, done being a double agent at Barcelona, if you care about those conspiracy theories. But yeah, I think he's interesting. The hardest part with Atletico is the sets are just a mess. Carrasco could take, Griezmann could take, Rodrigo De Paul could take, Koke could take, Lemar could take. If Trippier's in, he could take. So it's always like, who's going to be the taker? And is the juice worth the squeeze, right? After all that, you got all those takers and, you pick the wrong one and you're just like, son of a gun. Like I got nothing. So Griezmann or Suarez, I think are interesting plays if you think they'll concede. And then Oblak for goalie, I think is very in play. If you just, are like me, I just don't really have too much of a inclination like Porto players to go there. Just note, this is one of the few games, the first game we've had that's not had the juice on the over 2.5. So the juice is on the under. Sporting CP versus Ajax. Sporting is just woefully mispriced, like up and down. So you've got their sets, and let me make sure I get the name because they messed up the name. All right. So he's not showing on here. He didn't play the weekend. Maybe they're just resting him. But they have Pedro Pote. Okay, that's not his actual name. His actual name, let me make sure now that they like having me question it, it's Pedro Goncalves. Those that are like Sorare users know all about him. It's a very, very expensive player. Young, just superstar that just destroys the Portuguese league. He's 30. He is 3,500, takes almost all their set pieces, super creative. Like it would be one of the most egregious misprices since like Erling Haaland, when it was back to Red Bull Salzburg, was like 50, I think 900. And again, they were like a minus 400 favorite on. I think he scored like 3. So, Pedro Pote is how he is on Draftkings, but he'd be a lock. Pedro Porro, the right wing back, also would split sets with him. He just had a game not too long ago that he subbed in at the 56th minute, had 15 crosses. My kind of guy right there. So he's a City loanee, really, really talented wingback, 4,000. Ruben Vinagre, he's a loanee from Wolverhampton. He likes to cross the ball too. He's 3,100 as a left wing back. Nuno Santos took some corners over the weekend. He's only like 3,200. Just goes on and on. There's these floor type of players that can easily get you 670K are all under 4,000. So I think Sporting is where you go. This is a pretty close game too, plus 190. There'll be goals here too. This game should be pretty open. So we see on juices on the over. Ajax and Porto both play attacking brand of football. So it's going to be a really fun game. Hell, you could stack this up and still like, you know, even with you use Dusan Tadic, who I'll talk about in a minute, you could stack this up and still have room for like Neymar and Messi. That's kind of cool. So do like a game stack with 2 GOATs. Not bad. For the Ajax side. So the arrival of Steven Berghuis does take a little bit of Dusan Tadic's DFS goodness away. Tadic, you know, the last 2 years has been on Monopoly set pieces, just awesome to have. He's still going to do great. He sets up so many shot attempts, but if you look through his domestic leagues, it's because Ajax is that much better than everybody in the Dutch league. You know, this is going to be a much more even game. So I think Tadic probably is not a play in cash. Probably nobody here from Ajax. They're all nice players, but none of them are as egregiously priced as Sporting, who's also at home. GPP, you know, like a Tadic, Haller stack could be really interesting and very low owned. Finally, and this is like the game that I think is one of the most inconsequential of the slate, which means it won't have ownership. It could go off, but it's just kind of crazy. Inter and Real Madrid is a game that like I just look and I go, you know, who am I playing from here? Like Calhanoglu, you know, I love the player. You on an interleague stick, you never have to twist my arm to roster him, but he's like 8,000. Like I'd rather have Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'd rather have Messi. I'd rather have Mbappe. I'd rather have Neymar. I'd rather have Kevin De Bruyne. I'd probably rather have Antoine Griezmann. Go on and on and on. So I don't think it's like an advantageous spot for either side. Martinez, Dzeko for goals, sure. Karim Benzema off of just unbelievable performance on the weekend, always in play. Luka Modric, I think, is the most playable out of anybody here. 5,300 should be on Monopoly set pieces with Toni Kroos out. That's it. You know, your fullbacks are fine. Carvajal, Gutierrez, and then Darmian. You know, I guess if they landed on them, they're fine, but I'm not going out of my way for any of those guys. So that's it. 6 games. Roster Messi. Tough slate, right? Roster Messi and Neymar. Like I'm bringing some hot takes for you. So I think that's where I would go. Is I go Messi, Neymar, and then hope. And I have to keep doing it because this is not the name I know by. Hope that the Pote is in. So Messi. I said Messi, Neymar, Pope, and then probably one more of those just really cheap Sporting guys. Go from there. Pick that third stud. You know, are you gonna play Mbappe? Are you gonna play Trent Alexander-Arnold? You want to go for mini Liverpool stack? There's so many ways to go. It's gonna be a fun GPP slate. Hope you all do well. That'll do it. So also for you prize pick people, had a loser today. Sorry. Thought that'd be good. We actually got the under on Lewandowski's shots, but yeah, I kind of mentioned that I was struggling to find one. Cameron Dia, I took the over 1.5 because I thought for some reason the first night I saw that Gerard Moreno was out. He finished with 1 shot, so it was a loser. But we'll get back at it tomorrow. Hopefully we see some soft plays that we can jump on. Follow my Twitter. There we go. At GatorGuy231. I'll post it there probably an hour or so before the game. Yeah, good luck. Thank you all for watching. This is Keith, aka GatorGuy231. See you.